Hey everybody, it's the Doctor here with Typical Manga Fan, and we're going to be going over today on the Typical Manga Review, Bleach Chapter 638, Seething Malice is the Height of Comedy, which I think is actually the actual rule of comedy, that or tragedy. Either way, we got the left arm of the Soul King making it very plain that its name is Pernita Parkinga. Yes, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that correctly.
Neither is Mayuri, because he says that it's a long ass name.
Yeah, it's like, and he insisted because he's the one who made the discovery of what he is, he gets to name him. But since it's you making the request, we'll just break protocol and let you do it this time.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you how it's spelled.
Yeah. So Pernita's like, you are an enemy,
Like,
in a very simplistic tone, like as if. Do you think maybe like Yobok took away all of his intelligence and only left it with like one command, serve the Quincy? You know, I think maybe that's what he did. I'm assuming some type of brainwashing is involved. And
very
of course,
probable.
Yeah. So he says you're using bad words against the Quincy. So you're an enemy. I'm gonna kill you. So he uses nerves to control the ground and the walls, which is like inanimate objects. I mean, I guess an explanation is like nerves.
Well,
in walls and grounds, you have like maybe reishi nerves or something like that. So,
well, it's not that that's not too far a cry from what he was already doing. Other than because I don't think he actually specified he needed to do it with living creatures. He just puts his nerves in things and controls them.
Oh, you're right. He does. He puts his nerves in them, right?
Yeah, he is controlling them.
I thought he like used the nerves to hijack their nerves.
I think it might have been maybe that's where we're living things, but at the very least he can do it, obviously, because that's what we're seeing right here.
I mean, even Mayuri's surprised though, because he like, I always thought that what he did was he used his own nerves to like infect the nerves that were already there, and then control the body. You know, whereas in walls and in building and in grounds there are no nerves present, so it's kind of like, you know, I guess he acts as his own. I guess he creates nerves. You know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of weird, but
a little bit, but it's not a gigantic issue, I don't think.
No.
The hand he's creating under your other hand, no pun intended, are a gigantic issue.
Yeah. So yeah, everything he makes is a left hand.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't catch that myself at the time. I saw that kind of a message board and such later. But then Mayuri's kind of like doing some dodging, getting out of the way. The two hands try to high five each other with him in the middle, but apparently they don't so much as miss. But like Mayuri's armor has a defense that blows it up when something like that happens. Yeah,
because he's broke. But the armor's gone, and now you see him without what he's like without his armor. Mm-hmm. And he's but you know he uses these platforms he creates which is a similar technique that the Quincy's use called Hirin Kyaku or something like that.
Yeah.
And then what it does is it makes sure that he doesn't touch the ground. That way he doesn't get controlled by Pernita.
Yep. This does remind me of something to bring up at the end here, but it'll wait.
Yeah. So you know what's really interesting though is that Mayuri's pretty much broke. Like he's the only Shinigami on this, that really even knows what the hell he's doing. And yes, I understand that it's weird because I think I mentioned this before. I didn't know how to phrase it, but it's kind of like he's broke, which in itself is a bad thing. But because all the Quincy's are broke, having someone who's like overpowered on your side is like a breath of fresh air for some weird reason. Even though it's normally supposed to be bad.
Yep.
It's like okay, we got through all this bullshit about all this overpowered nonsense. So now we're giving the bullshit to our side, in the good side's favor. So it's like it's weird. I don't know how to really analyze it. It's like not as bad but still bad, you know?
Yep. On that note, like that Mayuri decides that this is his chance to actually get a sample off the hand. So he uses some weird little screaming rope person thing to blast off its pinky.
This is going to bite him in the ass.
Yeah.
Just from normal basic storytelling, this is how all the mad scientists get screwed over, right?
Yep.
Because they do something that any other fighter normally does. Like they try to mess with the unknown. That's what they do, and it often backfires on them. So
it almost backfires right away because the hand launches some nerves at him, but apparently he like immediately surgeries himself to just undo it before he can go anywhere.
Yeah. So I wonder if Kisuke, I wonder how a Kisuke versus Mayuri fight would go, because they both like know everything.
Yeah. That's more or less where we end on. There's like Pernita tries to take control of Mayuri stops him, and that's where we are at the moment. So far the advantage is to Mayuri because he's been avoiding or evading the attacks, and the left hand is down to pinky.
Yeah, but the pinky has its own he can remotely control the pinky from what I can tell. or the pinky itself is another quote-unquote part of Pernita. Regardless, it's sentient, so it really doesn't really do anything. In fact, now it has something that can, distract Mayuri while the main hand takes, tries his nerve attacks. I mean,
True.
yeah. So I mean, this is such a weird battle. Like, who the hell ever thought of fighting a hand? When was that ever put on the list?
Smash Brothers.
Okay, Master Hand and Crazy Hand. Okay, yeah. But last time I checked, I didn't think Bleach was Super Smash Brothers.
Well, they are fun of big attacks and blowing things around all over the place.
Yeah, okay, so if this is the left hand, what the hell are the feet?
I know, like, the Arlong Pork Forum thread for this was like, let's hope the Soul King skipped the leg day.
How powerful was this guy when he had all of his limbs? I swear to gosh.
Well, powerful enough not powerful enough not to get locked into a crystal.
Maybe he chose that himself. Who knows?
Yeah, we really don't know all the details there. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kubo. We don't know what the hell was happening.
Which means we're doomed for where we can expect at least one more flashback before this is all done.
Yeah.
Well, at least that one will be a legit one.
He's dead though, so unless they're gonna bring him back,
it's possible.
Okay, well, that is the end of this chapter. We are fighting a hand. It is really messed up, really disturbing, and really Kubo tries to outdo himself whenever something, in terms of the weirdness level.
Especially when Kurotsutsu's involved.
Exactly. I mean, how weird. This is all the Quincy's are all over the place, right? I mean, the Yorankars and the Shinigami, you kind of make sense of them. Some of them occasionally have weird powers. I mean, you had like the crazy scientist guy, then you have the very, the not crazy scientist, like the crazy weird powers, and then you have the more like practical ones. Mm-hmm. With the Quincy's, like you got Mr. Luchador, you got the
robot guy.
Yeah, you got Mohawk. Yeah, robot guy BG9. You have a guy who has a mohawk like 1,000 years ago, which I didn't think they were in fashion back then. And then I also someone might point out that they had ties, which also were not in fashion back then either. Mm-hmm. So I guess they,
I want to. When you have a chance, go and finish what you're saying. But there's one thing I want to make sure I bring up with you before we wrap up here.
Oh yeah, so there's another plot hole, the ties. I mean, time travel, man. Well, not really time travel, but flashbacks. And then, of course, now we have a hand. I mean, what is the weirdest? I mean, Yubaka also has a bunch of eyes. All these powers are so freaking weird. I guess this is him trying to like shock us into for shock, give us shock value. Yeah. But it's just so weird that I don't really. I feel it's like I don't think it's positive in terms of uncomfortability. It's like at this point, I think it's like. It's just I don't get any positive effect from it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, at least it's in this case. At least it's turning it into an interesting fight. Like that's before, it wasn't really doing much of that, but this time at least we're getting some interest out of it.
Yeah. Well, you have. I forgot to mention this. Mayuri was actually responsible for like the killing of a lot of Quincy's, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. Like that has not come up yet in this entire arc. Yeah, that was Uryu's entire reason for fighting him when they fought each other, or at least going as far as he did with it.
And he fights the one guy who can barely talk. Okay.
And who probably isn't even really a Quincy.
Yeah. Well, they're really like taking this away, aren't they?
I mean, like I said, Mayuri, like, if the Quincy have any one Soul Reaper they should hate beyond maybe Yamamoto, it would be Mayuri.
Oh wait, I forgot. Did he? I know he was responsible for Ishida's grandfather.
He also experimented on the souls of a lot of dead Quincy.
Okay, but at the same time, it's not like the Quincy's give a shit about their own. If you think about it.
True. And for all we know, those might be the ones that weren't worth anything to you.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. And Ishida's grandfather was the one who went against the whole, restructuring of the Quincy, the Vanderdyke. So it's like, he basically screwed down with the rebel. So it's like, why would Yubak care? And Yubak doesn't give a shit. If anything, Mayuri was helping him out by killing all the guys he didn't care about, right?
Yep.
So who knows? But at the same time, like the Quincy's a little confusing in terms of their relationships, because then you have a guy like Basby who's like best friends with Hashwald, and then you have other guys who randomly kill each other for no reason.
Yep.
Because ultimately, in the end, it's supposed to help you a balk. But I'm like, aren't you guys like? Don't you have any moral, regret? Like any type of regret in this sense? Like any more hesitation? Because you're literally just killing your friends. Is it, like what kind of organization? I get it that he probably saved their lives, but what kind of brainwashing did it take for them to really not care about other people's lives like that?
I don't know. course, some of them may have been depraved in the first place, but still, yeah, you're right about that.
Well, yeah, because Asno was like he couldn't move when he was a child. I mean, ever since he was he was alive, essentially, from what we can tell. And then there's other people like the twins, and then I know Hashwald and Battersby were basically ordained into the Quincy's when they were like young as possible, with Hashwald having this uncle problem.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, at the same time though, it's not like every single Quincy is like depraved at first. It's not like, I don't know, because we've seen Quincy's that live their lives normally. So why is it all of a sudden we're seeing ones that are suddenly all like from like horrible places in the world? Is it just by chance? Is that what Yuobok did? Did he literally just like, okay, I'm gonna pick the ones that have the most susceptibility to being brainwashed by me?
Well, that would be the smart thing to do, actually.
Yeah, but he seemed like he did it based on power level, or I don't know. See, like it's weird based on like purity, right? He did it on purity.
Like purity of the bloodline sets, yeah.
Yeah. So it's so freaking weird. But then it's just weird. There's too much we don't know right now, so that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. So anything else you want to bring up?
No, but like I said, you kind of got ahead of me on that one. That meeting with Mayuri and DeQuincy is the one I really wanted to mention.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, what's up, Kubo?
Yeah.
What the hell's all that? Yeah. Okay. Well. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's about it for the chapter.
Yeah, so far, at the very least, the fight is at least somewhat interesting this time around. So,
yeah.
And it doesn't really feel like it's being dragged out as much as the other fights have. At the very least, like it feels more like there's a lot happening this time around, to me at least.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this was a pretty good chapter, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's about it, right?
Yep. We're good to go. Go ahead and take us away. Oh, wait,
actually. Oh, wait.
Yeah, forgot that. And for almost got our farewell there. Sorry, guys. This has been the typical manga review of Bleach 638. Seething Malice is the height of comedy. So if you think about it, that would mean these reviews would probably be a lot funnier than they are, but whatever. Go and take us away.
Bye!